Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Flanagan. Welcome to BowlerX Live here this week. I'm your guest host here on BowlerX. Thanks to Krista and Lee Sant for the opportunity to be here with you today. We're going to talk to Ryan Ciminelli here in just a little bit. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, here at the wonderful South Point Hotel Casino, and I'm in the bowling plaza right now working on a project with some friends of mine. And just happy that you're here today on BowlerX on both Facebook and on YouTube. Hey, don't forget, if you don't already, follow BowlerX. You should here on Facebook. Make sure you follow the page and check out all the great things that are going on here. And also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram as well. We also have a great YouTube channel, JR Raymond and now Connor Pickford, Kyle Troop, who put out some great videos recently. You can check those out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, BowlerX. Make sure you check that out. Also, I also want to let you know that BowlerX is committed to bowling. And when you're looking to make that next purchase on anything you may need for bowling, check out BowlerX.com. So again, thanks to Lee and Krista for the opportunity to be here with you today. And thank you for watching here today as I guest host. JR will be back next week. So also want to let you know on BowlerX.com, there's some new bowling balls that have just been announced. And Lee and the folks are ready to take care of you. And they do have these bowling balls available to pre-order. Global 900 Global announced the Volatility Torque, which you can pre-order. Also, Storm announced 3 bowling balls. They have the new Parallax, the Trend, the IQ Tour Nano Pearl, as well as Rotogrip has a new MVP Attitude. And we also have some new shoes coming out in the near future. If you're looking for some new bowling shoes, stay tuned to BowlerX.com in August as Dexter, KR Strike Force, and 3G are all going to be coming out with some new shoes. So make sure you check out BowlerX. They're the one providing the stream here tonight and the interview with Ryan Ciminelli. So let's get into the news here a little bit, everybody. You may or may not have seen that Ryan Ciminelli, he's been on tour since 2007. He's made almost $700,000 on the tour, and he made an announcement yesterday, and I'm going to bring that up on the screen here now, and I'm going to maneuver myself over here. There we go. So what he said yesterday was he posted on his personal Facebook account, "To all my fans, friends, and family, the time has come in my family's journey for me to retire as a full-time professional. This comes with a heavy heart as I have put my heart and soul into the game for 30 years. To be honest, I'm not sure exactly how I feel. I'm heartbroken that I don't feel like I can continue in this profession. I'm glad because being a pro bowler is much more stressful than many think, and I'll be happy that the curiosity of where my next check is coming from is over." And that is the truth. That's what it's like to be a pro bowler, everybody. "I guess I feel I've exhausted all the possibilities to extend my full-time career. I'll take so many things away from this career path: the friends I've made, the cool people I got to meet, the accomplishments I was fortunate to gather, the memories of the travel, the high-pressure moments, the successes, the failures, and all the beautiful places I've seen. I've been offered a position in my other passion of construction management as a commercial masonry project manager. I'm very excited to explore this new road with a very cool, talented, family-owned business called Exterior Expressions that has bases in Georgia, Florida, and the Carolinas. Having said all that, I will have some vacation time immediately, so I will get to pick and choose some events I'd like to bowl and can keep commitments to my teammates in the league, the Lucy, and Columbus HP events, to name a few. Hopefully, I'm not done winning on tour. I'll just have less opportunity to do so, and that's okay. The people closest to me, you know the rest. Love you all, 100%. So that was from Ryan Ciminelli yesterday, and pretty heartfelt moment there from him. I also want to let everybody know that we do have an interactive show here today as we do speak with Ryan Ciminelli. I have some questions that I want to get to with him. I'd like to say hello to Peter, Alfred, Jonathan, and Vincenzo, who are already joining us here on today's stream. And now is the time for me to bring in our guest who everybody wants to hear from today, who is Ryan Ciminelli. And Ryan is nice enough to join us from his home. Welcome, Ryan, to the broadcast. And before we get started with the news today, first of all, I'd like to know how you and your family are doing. Of course, your wife, Chelsea, your 2-year-old Jackson, and just 2 months old Leighton. How's everybody doing there at home?
Everyone's great. Getting acclimated to life. I guess this new life that everyone's getting acclimated to, but also she gave birth during the pandemic, and it was different. It was unique. It was peaceful. So yeah, we got a 2-month-old now too. So Life's good. We spend a lot of time together, obviously, with everything being shut down for the most part for the last few months. A lot of family time and a lot of reflection time for me personally.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I couldn't imagine what it was like
Can you go flick
having
a
a
light on
baby.
real quick? Like, hang on one second.
Yeah, no problem. I've got nice lighting here at the South Point Hotel and Casino.
The sun's starting to set here, so.
Well, man, thanks for spending a little bit of time here today, here on BowlerX. Before we get started with the news, we were talking before the show that, you were the first staffer for BowlerX. You've got a really close relationship with both Krista and Lee. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with BowlerX and the things that BowlerX does?
Yeah, it started as a friendship. I met them the first time, I think, was the PJBT, and Parker had brought me in, and we did some cool things. We bowled the Pro-Am there, and that was the first time I really met them. And we just kind of hit it off, just friends from the start, and the friendship ended up turning into the business partnership. They had me do that commercial. That was a pretty cool commercial that we did. And not long after that, they contacted me and they said, we really want to get involved with the PBA. We're doing well, and we really want to give back. How do we do it? How do we give to the players, give to the PBA? And I just kind of told them what they would need to do and what the players would expect. And I ended up being the first contract that they signed. And I mean, they have a ton of staffers now. So, I mean, the amount of giving in their hearts is crazy. They're just such good people, and I'm going to support them till the end. And I know I'm not going to be a full-time guy, but when you see me competing, I'll still be wearing the logo because they deserve that.
Yeah, man, original staffer, OG style, so to speak. That's awesome. So obviously, one of the biggest reasons why we're having you on here today is the announcement that you made yesterday, and I read through it earlier, your exact status update. And I think the first question is what really made you decide to do this now?
You would think it was the pandemic, but I've been trying to figure out how to better my future and my family's future for a while, longer than you might even think. But because of the pandemic, I updated my resume and I said, you know what, I'm going to start applying to some jobs that I really think I would like. And although I may not be, qualified enough in the fact that I've been on tour for 13 years and out of the industry, and it's been so long since I was on that road that I didn't think that anyone would really give me a second look, but I put myself out there and I applied to a bunch of jobs. And then after a few days of doing that, this one job popped up and it said masonry project manager. My eyes lit up. Now, my dad's a mason and I worked with him since I was 15 years old. He's been doing masonry for 60 years. And my degree in project management, it was like the two were just hand in hand. I'm like, a lot of stone and brick companies, they don't have project managers. They're not big enough to have that position. Usually it's more of the just the whole job that has a project manager overseeing everything. And this company's big enough that they do a lot of commercial and they have enough subcontractors that they need project managers. So it was kind of perfect fit for me. And as soon as I saw it, I applied. I texted my wife. She was at work, and I said, I think I just applied for the perfect job for me. And she said, wow, really? I said, yeah, it's the masonry side of things that I've been doing for 20 years now. And it's project management, which is what I went to school for. I said, it's literally perfect. And sure enough, the next day they gave me a call and they asked me right away, we want to speak with you about possibly working for us. When can we interview you? I ended up meeting with one of the brothers who took the company over from the father and met him over lunch and had an interview. And we hit it off great right away. And after 3 days, He called me the next day, gave me the offer, the numbers. We started talking right away about vacation time because he understood the bowling and he knew that I would still like to hit some tournaments. So he really seemed to understand that part of it too. So it would just seem like the perfect time. And it was like, if I'm ever gonna make this change, now's the time because um, I need to work something out for a retirement. I need to have something more for the long term. And if they're going to give me this opportunity now without going back to college and not starting from the ground and working my way back up, I have to jump on it. And I really just couldn't say no.
Yeah, I was looking at PBA.com. You made $700,000 in earnings. You started, back in 2007. So if you do the math, you can kind of figure out, what the average yearly rate is. But it's such an up and down grind over
Sure.
the years. You made $129,000 in 2015 and captured the U.S. Open. I mean, that was your best year on tour. So now that you have, a family, you have two kids, you have a beautiful wife, and you're doing your thing there. You look at a guy like Mike Fagan, who stepped away from the tour, who was a great bowler, just like yourself. And,
Yeah.
he's gone on to do other things, but you can kind of pick and choose what you want to bowl now. But it's also got to be really bittersweet for you, especially someone who's devoted this much time into bowling and trying to be the greatest in the world, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's definitely a bitterness to it. It's all I've ever known. From the time I was 4 years old, bowling is all I've ever known. By the time I was 8, I knew I wanted to be a professional, and it was tunnel vision the whole time. So to give up the full-time aspect of this it's been a little hard to swallow. It's taken some time for me to really grasp the idea that bowling's not going to be my number one priority anymore. It's just, obviously I'm going to miss a lot of it, but I'm not going to miss the stress. I'm not going to miss the losing thousands of dollars before the next big check hits, the 10,000 when you win, the 20,000 or 40,000, whatever it is. It's great. But when you go 3 months of losing 1,500 a week, it adds up fast, and the mortgage gets bigger and bigger. I swear it's a bigger number every month when you're losing money like that. So the stress levels, obviously, I dealing with stress. I have anxiety now, so I've been dealing with anxiety, and that's no fun. And we just obviously introduced another young one into the world, and life's real, and bowling's a game, and it's fun, and it was a cool way to make a living for a while. But if we're being honest, there's just not enough money to support a family on. So I mean, there's 5 or 10 guys doing pretty well out there, but those next 20 guys that are kind of grinding along, we're journeymen, a lot like to say. You can only do that for so long.
Yeah, being left-handed isn't easy either. Less traffic over on your side of the lane. In bowling, there's this big lefty-righty debate. Whatever side anybody falls on.
Sure.
But it's impossible to put out an equal pattern on both sides when you don't have the same amount of traffic. And you know what I mean. So there's some weeks I'm sure it's had to play a little bit of a mental, just really tear you up some weeks when you just didn't have a good look over there and the lanes would never develop and dry up and all the things you have to go through on tour. I mean, It's very difficult.
Yeah, there's so many aspects that I can talk about, but a couple of the main ones are like my uniqueness and what I can do. It's interesting because I never could do that before tour. I always hooked the lane. I never threw it hard. A lot of people don't know that. Tour made me who I am. I throw the ball hard because it was the best way I knew how to trap the lane and shut my angles down. And bringing my break point closer to me was by far the easiest way for me to stay in it, get checks. And I created something that was unique in the same time that I didn't know I was capable of. And that uniqueness is what allowed me to win whenever my ball saw the right part of the lane the right way. I don't know if any, I can't name any off the top of my head that are even capable of doing what I can do when I have that. So things like the U.S. Open happen where the second lefty was 60th. And then there's, I think maybe half of my titles, I think I was the only lefty on the show, stuff like that. But at the same time, it comes in spurts where the sport's constantly evolving. The lane patterns are changing. The oils are changing. The way the balls see it front to back, if you are not constantly adapting, the game will cycle through you, and it'll come back around at some point. And it showed that in my career, really. It was 2 to 3 years in between, and then it was these stretches of just great ball shape, comfortability, and then with that confidence, and then you can string wins together and a lot of shows. But this new stretch that we've been going through for the past 2 to 3 years, the uniqueness of Jesper and Butter stands out. Their ball does things that none of us can do. And even though they're winning and they're making the left look not so bad, the bottom line is we just can't do that. Guys like me and Rhino, we're not capable of doing what they do, just as they're not capable of doing what we do. Problem for us is it's been a long stretch, and it's been a grind where every now and then, we can maybe figure something out to grind along, make a show, or even get a win like I did last year. But over the course of the long haul, we're just not making the money we need to make.
Yeah, and I guess I would ask, devil's advocate here. You're a great bowler. Have you tried things over the years, or is there certain setbacks or time frames that you've tried something and it's taken your game backwards by trying to overcome being able to grind out checks every week?
Right. So there's two ways to look at it, and one is, I mean, absolutely. I've looked into, I've tried tweaking, I've messed with tilt, which is, I think, the hardest thing to change in bowling. I just don't. I got rid of tilt actually in 2009. And that was because my ball was getting too far down lane and my window was too small, and guys like Rhino and PA were crushing them. And I figured out that I needed to get more forward and lose my tilt to compete. And it all kind of happened at the same time, where I lost the tilt, got more firm to where I could trap the lane, and got the ball rolling earlier and used the fronts more. And that was the way 10 years ago that it needed to be done on our side of the lane. So I did change to make it on tour. Otherwise, I would have been going back to college 10 years ago. And I made a lot of shows, even though in that course I only had a couple wins. I knocked on the door a lot, and there was a lot of second place finishes and a lot of shows. So there was a long haul there where my success didn't necessarily show looking at titles, but it was there. And seeing the stretches that come and go as a left-hander, if I were to try to change things now and adapt my game to what Jesper and Butter can do and try to figure out a way to get my ball to do even close to what theirs does, who's to say that next season what I am great at isn't the berries? So like I go through this huge change, I waste all this time, and meanwhile I'm trying to pay my mortgage. So like you're scared to make those changes, but I mean, you're still fiddling a little bit. And then I've seen it happen in the course of my 13 years at least twice, where the change happens like that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, like all of a sudden I'm great again. And from 15 to 16, that was that for me, where I didn't change anything. I started seeing my ball do the right things. I felt like the patterns were tapered more front to back, and I can get my ball started when there's a lot of oil in the front, when a lot of guys can't, and I can use that to my advantage. And there was just a stretch where the patterns really suited that. And had I changed something in those previous 2 years, I wouldn't have went on that 6th title run. So, I mean, the devil's advocate is definitely there, but I can say it right back and say, I could only have 2 titles if I went through all that, and all of a sudden it flipped right back around, and all of a sudden I got to be forward again. I'm not Chris Barnes. I know I'm not a GOAT. No one's going to ever talk about me when they talk about the greatest of all time. I get that. but it's just so hard to do that. And I'm gonna be frank, I'm clearly not capable of just the back and forth of changing tilts, changing rotations on a game to game basis like the best of all time do. And yeah, I mean, there's not many that are lefty or righty. It's just a handful of guys that can do that. And so those spurts, they come as fast as they go. And obviously we're in one of those right now where it's not great for me. And with the pandemic, and now I get this job offer, and it's kind of at this point like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, sure. Checking in here. This is Lee Sant checking in. He and Krista are spending a little bit of time away from work right now, and he checks in and says, "Ryan, thank you for everything you've done for us at BowlerX. We know your bowling journey isn't over, just different." I agree with that 100%. And when you're inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame, Krista and I will be there. We love you, man. So, that is interesting. You talk about goats, right? And you obviously you don't put yourself in a goat category. But man, you got 8 titles right now. You got 8 titles. That's a lot of titles. And you are 2 away from being Hall of Fame eligible and a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. And with a part-time amount of bowling in your schedule moving forward, you could still get to the Hall of Fame, brother. What do you think about that?
Definitely not out of the question. Just one major away, really. I know that's a tall task, but it can happen in 1 week, literally. So, like I said, my uniqueness is why I have 8 titles, because there's not really anyone that can quite do what I do. And we definitely don't bowl to become wealthy. I mean, the money's just not there for 99.9% of us to do that. We bowl to win. And the 8 titles are because of my uniqueness. And had I tried to adapt and change things, I was always afraid to lose that uniqueness, because when it does what I want it to do, I feel like there's not really anybody that can beat me. It's just few and far between. So over 13 years, eight titles. I mean, it's a solid career, and yeah, there's definitely still a chance that I find a way to make it to the Hall of Fame. And had you told me 6 years ago that I was even going to have a chance at making the Hall of Fame, I mean, I remember having a conversation with my dad, and I said, it'd be great to get to like 5 titles by the end of my career. And there was just no way I saw myself even having a sniff at the Hall of Fame. And then I go on this run where I win 5 times in whatever it was, 14 months. And all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, Dad, like we're 1 major away. We're two wins away from the Hall of Fame. And he never doubted it. I mean, he's a dad. He always believed. And but when you go through rough patches like that, you really start to doubt yourself. It's really hard to keep confidence. You can put on a show and pretend like you still believe that you're a factor to win every week, but in your heart, deep down, the more failures you take, the harder it is to do that, and it eats away at you. And then you think about being away from the family for two entire months to start the year. And even though I had a great start to the season, I went on a stretch right after that where my ball just wasn't doing what I needed it to do, and I couldn't even get checks. And all of a sudden, I'm just counting the money that I'm losing back, and I'm still away from them, and my wife's ready to give birth, and I'm not there. And it was just those are the times where you start reflecting and you start wondering, what do I do? When is the right time? How do I go about even making a career change at this point? It's been so long. And when you're not going to make enough money to retire off of, you have to do it at some point, I'd imagine rather early, because at this point, I can still put in another 35 years somewhere and I can get a solid retirement, where if I stick to bowling for another 15 years, I'm not sure how that retirement would look. I'm not trying to work at 80 like my father, and God bless him, he's still laying brick at 80 years old. But I'll be damned if I'm laying brick at you. I'll tell you that. So I'm trying to be proactive about it.
Well, we've got an interactive program here, and I know this is probably going to be top of mind for you. But David Feldman just wants you to know, Ryan, we'd love to have you join our group at the Greater Ozarks Open in Springfield, Missouri. So people already want you to shoe up with them, man, now that you're going to have extra time on your hands and pick some tournaments. So
that's awesome.
Kyle Bigelow checked in as well and said, glad I got to shoe up with you and against you, my friend. In mind, you are the most powerful lefty ever. Good luck in your new career and hope to see you down the road.
He's a good dude.
So,
I like Kyle a lot.
You know, this is the other thing here that we don't want to paint this picture to people. You know, Ryan Ciminelli's bowling career is not dead. It's just moving to part-time status, right? So
yeah, it's just going to be the number 2 priority instead of number 1. I'd like to think that the vacation times will stretch. The company actually has a professional fisher that does the same thing that I'll be doing, and they said they're lenient, and you know, if you do your job well as a project manager, you don't have to be there every minute. So there will be times where I'll be able to just get off, and if the job's running smoothly and I'm doing what I need to do, I'll be able to hit more and more events. So the more I prove myself to the company, the more solidified I get in the role, the more I think I'll be able to make it out to events again. It's just that it won't be full time. You know, I'm not sure right now what that looks like. It could be just 2 or 3 events to start. And then who knows, a couple of years from now, maybe they're giving me all kinds of time because I proved that I can do the job and still go away and compete as well. And I think that they're a company they're family owned. They understand. The dad that just gave the company to his sons is going out to do some sort of professional golfing as a senior. So they get the sports aspect. They obviously respect it. So I think if there's a way for me to do this and still bowl a fair amount, it's going to be with a company just like them. And I think I'm hopeful that within the next 2 to 3 years, I'm still bowling half of the events or even more than that. It's just, I won't be there week in and week out, and I won't be 100% focused on that, and maybe not as good with communicating with fans on social media and stuff like that. And I know that part of it's going to suck, and I enjoy you know the talking and the back and forth between people that genuinely try to understand or want to understand things about not just the sport but about the life of a professional. And obviously you read plenty of the haters and you read plenty of the nonsense as well, but you weed through that, and there's a lot of good people out there that they just make it feel like it's more worth it to you. And to lose some of that because I'm going to be doing this full-time position, that part of it's going to stink. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back in time a little bit. You know, I'm from the Midwest and you're from the Northeast, right? The East Coast. Yep. And I remember when you first broke on the tour, all of a sudden everybody was like, who's this Ryan Ciminelli guy? This thin kid who throws it with a lot of revs, and the guy uses urethane a lot of the time, right? I mean, you revolutionized or brought urethane back before everybody started coming out with urethane balls again, like black hammers and pitch blacks and all these different bowling balls. Let's go back to that time. And it's interesting to hear you talk about how, you know, you were using urethane then, and now you can't keep up with these guys that have these trick rolls like Buttriff and Jesper, and they're using urethane. Any thoughts on that in general?
It's like watching the game go by you. Back when I first came out on tour, I heard guys like Jason Couch, who I look up to, and Parker Bone, who's been my idol since I was little, look at me and say, can't do what you do. We can't compete with that. And then over the course of the following, 5, 6, 7 years, Couch goes into retirement, gets the job, and then Parker gets to be an employee with Brunswick, and he's bowling less and less. And you kind of see that happen. And then you blink your eyes and you're the one looking at the new kid saying, man, I can't do that. I don't know what to do because that's what's working, and I'm just not capable of that. I hope Butterf has a long career ahead of him, but when I watch him bowl, it hurts to watch. So how he does that blows my mind, and I really hope he doesn't get hurt. I hope he has a long career. But just watching it, and I've fiddled a little bit with where his hand is at the bottom, and to throw a ball from there is mind blowing because just getting my hand in that position, just standing with a bowling ball, it hurts my wrist. So there's no way that I could do what they do, and I know that. And we just have to understand our physical, our ceilings per se, and it just feels like I'm watching them go by me. You know, Jesper's already in the Hall of Fame, and Butterf's right behind him, and I've been out here 13 years, and they're flying by me like I'm standing still, and I'm like, all right, what gives? Like, is it time, or what do I got to do? So it's just kind of seeing the writing on the wall and swallowing that pill and saying, you know what, I don't think bowling can be number one. I'm not even the best on my side of the lane, and it's hard to make a living on our side of the lane. So it just seems like now's the right time.
Yeah, we're talking things over with Ryan Ciminelli. If you're just joining us, I'm Mike Flanagan. I'm the host this week on BowlerX Live. JR will be back next week. Like he does a great job every week. Don't forget, follow BowlerX on all social media platforms. Just drop some new videos over on the YouTube channel as well. We're talking it over with Ryan Ciminelli, who just announced that he was going to be taking a full-time job, and he's using his degree in construction management that you went to school for many years ago. Talk a little bit about just your background and how you're qualified for this job and exactly what you think you'll be doing in this new job.
Yeah, so I've always been fascinated with it started with drafting, designing blueprints. I started doing in high school. I actually took some classes with drafting and things like that, and I wanted to go the route of being an architect. And so I've always had that fascination. I actually designed my own house blueprints, and before I moved down to South Carolina, I actually pretty much designed the house that I was living in up there that we had built. And it's just always been a passion of mine. And since I was 15, I was working with my dad in masonry, so a lot on residential, and watching these houses go up, it fascinated me. All the moving parts and all the different types of subcontractors that it took to complete a house. You know, these houses don't just pop up. There's so much that goes into it. And then I got into commercial, and I started doing the masonry with him in a commercial. It was actually a brother. The one brother had the residential and the non-union, and the other brother had a commercial that was a union, and we worked for both of them. So I got to see both sides of it, the commercial side and the residential side. Went to college, decided that the project management and the engineering technologies was more where I felt more suitable than being an architect. I think mainly because obviously as a professional bowler, the whole desk job thing never appealed to me. And I knew that being an architect, I'm going to be sitting on a computer and drafting, and it's at a desk. It's going to be at a desk on a computer all the time. And although I was fascinated by what the job was, the fact that I would be sitting at a desk all day, every day did not thrill me. Project managers were out in the field, we're seeing the projects. That's more along the lines of what I want to do. I want to be hands-on. I wanted to be there. And so I decided to go to one of the two campuses at the school I went to. One had the construction management, and the other campus had the architecture. And that was really the deciding time when I said, okay, the construction management, that's the way I want to go. In this role, I think what I'll be doing is basically overseeing any subcontractors that the company hires, and making sure that those subcontractors don't slack. Make sure they do the job the right way, that they actually show up. I mean, there's plenty of lazy people out there that want to half-ass their job, and they're going to cost money to. I mean, there's deadlines, so those deadlines are going to be my responsibility to make sure that these guys are staying on top of their job and doing what they need to do. I'll need to be making the schedules and the progress reports and relaying that back to the company and letting them know that everything's good, or maybe having an issue with the subcontractors. And it'll be my job to figure out compromises in situations where maybe the subcontractors are having an issue with the company or whatever. Well, all that's going to be on me. So there's a lot to the job, but I think I've learned a lot in my life experiences, even as a professional bowler, that make me a very adequate for this job. And what I mean by that is doing the clinics and teaching people and coaching people and the pro-ams and having to meet strangers all the time and genuinely get to know them. You start to care about strangers, and you just start to open up. You know, I was always an introvert. I never wanted to talk. I was always shy, and bowling opened me up. And you can't be a boss of people and tell people the way that you want them to do things and guide them and have constructive criticism and do all those things without good people skills. And I genuinely developed those skills through bowling. So I have them to thank for that. And that was the last piece I think I needed to be able to do a job like this.
Yeah, you're an emotional guy too. You know, when I look at, PBA telecasts over the years, or just watching people behave on social media,
Mhm.
I kind of gravitate towards the people that have an opinion, good, bad, indifferent. You've always had opinions out there. Sometimes you've got yourself in trouble, but you've always worn your heart on your sleeve, and it makes you an emotional guy. When you went through this decision process, was there a time, or has a time set in yet, that you just broke down thinking about this decision and what you're going to be doing in the future, and leaving bowling full time behind?
I've been torn, like I said earlier, for longer than you might think. There's times from the beginning when I would look in the mirror, I would talk to my wife and say, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. This is too stressful. I don't think I'm good enough. Like, I flat out have been to these lows where you just don't see the talent and the ability in yourself anymore. Those holes are really hard to dig out of. And it's a big part, I think, of why those stretches of no titles happen. And me and my wife just talked about this yesterday. Every time over the past, we'll say 5 years, since the 2016 streak ended of all those titles, when that ended, the talks kind of started to happen again. You know, what are we going to do? I started thinking about getting my real estate license and making a slow transition into real estate. All these options of things that I might be able to do to just kind of transfer my focus away from bowling. And as soon as I'd get serious about it, there would be a big hit. I'd bowl for a title, or even win a title, and all of a sudden everything's good again. And you're like, all right, well, we can go a little longer. That money helps us stretch this out longer to figure something out. So we'll keep at it. And it's just been really hard because my wife is younger than me. I had to help her through her master's degree. She's still only 28 and she's working for a private practice, and she's really starting to get to where she wants to be. But we knew that was going to take time. And without her building up a big clientele as a psychotherapist, the money just wasn't there for us to just say, all right, well, I'm just going to be done. I'll go back to college and I'll start from square one. We can afford it, so the time that it's going to take me isn't too big of a deal. Well, that luxury isn't there, and it hasn't been there. So it's been more of a month-to-month thing for us, where we're like, okay, well, what's the best move for us this month? What do we got to do this month? She was working a second job just to make a little bit of extra money, just to make sure that we can cover the bills. And then obviously it hit the bowling industry pretty hard, and some companies stopped paying the monthlies to the staffers, and then the panic hits, and you're like, okay, well, now we got thousands and thousands of dollars in bills every month, and I can't even go compete. I don't have my monthly income coming in. You're not where you need to be. Like, what are we going to do? I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was a brief period where we were really concerned about losing the house that we just bought a year ago. Fortunately, we have a lot of equity in it, so it wouldn't kill us. But we love the house. We love the neighbors. We love everything about this. And you don't want to lose your home and start over. So that's when I finished the resume. I said, you know what? I'm going to start applying to jobs. I'm just going to see. I'll put myself out there, and we'll see what happens. And wasn't but a few days, and I got the job offer, and I was like, the writing's been on the wall. This is our way out. This is my way of getting a steady income. And honestly, who's to say that she doesn't get to her full client caseload? And I mean, psychotherapist, so she'd be making pretty darn good money. If that happens and she's making really good money, who's to say that I can't go back out on tour? It's just right now, this is what the family needs. This is what we got to do as a unit. And it hurts. It's tough, but that's life. And this is what we got to do.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next question, which is, with all that pressure of trying to make a house payment, almost losing your house, you got to be squeezing the ball, you got to be bowling tight, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to be loose when you're bowling, right? You want to have that confidence, to be able to do well. It wouldn't shock me, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. You get in your new role, you're making that steady income, that house payment, you're able to budget, things are going well. How is that going to change you as a bowler going forward? I mean, you're going to be out there almost on a free roll, so to speak, compared to what it was. What do you think is going to happen?
There's a couple people that have mentioned it, and it's crossed my mind. My infamous save shot, for example, I never used to do that. I think that is part of my way of using muscle to force the ball online to get it to where I want it to go in high pressure situations. I figured out a way to make it work. It works more often than it doesn't, but it's things like those that I developed because of the tension in my swing, because of how cutthroat and high pressured, not just TV shows, but every game, not knowing if you're going to make a check, not knowing if your bank account's going to get smaller or bigger that month. Those are the reasons why habits like that were created. And I'm interested to see if that continues or if my swing can loosen up again, because my steady paycheck's going to be there no matter what. It'll be interesting to see, and it has crossed my mind. So I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing that you said here is that the company you're going to work for knows sports and has supported other people that are able to go out and bowl or play golf professionally, and they're going to let you do that to some degree. So this is a different situation than Fagan's, where he stepped away from the game completely. You're stepping away part-time, and you're going to feel it out and see what happens, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely hopeful that I'm still going to hit some tournaments. I'm hopeful that I'll still be able to find my way to the Hall of Fame. I'm not done competing. It's only a matter of time before the real fire starts to burn again, and I'm going to get that itch. And I mean, who's to say that our circumstances as a family don't change and make it easier for me to get back out there? So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that I'm back at some point, almost full time. It's all about the finances. It's all about the steady incomes. It's all about making sure that our family is going to be set with our futures. And if I can make that happen and bowl, that's what I'm going to do. And just right now, I can't do that.
When you look back at the last 13 years on tour, as we're kind of wrapping up here, over the years, I'm sure there's some people that have helped get you to where you are. It's not quite where you need to be from a week-to-week consistent basis, but if you want to talk a little about some of the people that have helped you get where you are today, and share a couple stories from that, this would be a good time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the sponsors are a big part of why we can even do it in the first place. So Turbo Genesis, BowlerX, obviously, creating the difference. Ron Hicklin's been fantastic to me. The companies that have supported me, first and foremost, I couldn't do this without them, and so that's been huge. And everyone needs to know that these companies are supporting us and allowing us to do this for a living, because if it weren't for them, we really couldn't do it. So thank you to all of them. I've been reminiscing the past few days, realizing that things are about to change. And I'm thinking about the past memories of me and my dad. My dad has been a huge part of my bowling. And to think that those moments and the travel and the father-son that we've had, the bond that we had through all of this from day one, to think those moments might all just be memories now, that chokes you up for sure. And I think I'd rather not think about it. But he would be proud anyways. Taking what he did for a living, and he's still doing 60 years as a Mason, and one-upping that and being a Mason project manager, I think he'd be proud anyways. It's not just bowling. And although I'm sure that he'll be more disappointed than me, sorry, I haven't said it out loud yet, so it's tough.
It's all right, man. It's not easy, bro.
It's gonna break his heart, but I just have to do it.
Yeah, no, and I think from what we're seeing from the people in the chat and from what I've seen in the bowling world, I'm out here with some pretty high-profile people. We talked about you last night. You're doing the right thing here for your family, bro. It's more than just about bowling. You said it a little while ago, and I got to tell you, you and I haven't been the tightest of friends. I've been around a lot of bowling. We've never been on the same ball companies at the same time to where I'm shooting videos with you or anything. But I have an utmost amount of respect for you. And even though we haven't really been teammates along the way, I've watched what you've done, and 8 titles on tour is one hell of an accomplishment. There's a long list. It's still not that long of a list of people that have won 1 title. The 2 list is even shorter. And when you get up to 8 titles, you should be really proud of your career. And I know your dad's proud of you too, for sure. And I think old Pops might be proud of what you're doing moving forward, using some of what's between the ears that makes you the person that you are as well. So nothing to hang your hat on at all.
I was raised a family man, so he will understand. Families first. It's all it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. We've got another one coming in here. I recall the documentary for the Cheetah Championship, you and your dad. I was so impressed then. And that is one of my favorite ever PBA documentary shows they've ever done.
That was a great show. The one that sticks out to me, that if anyone's curious of how strong of a bond that me and my dad have over this game, when I won in 2013, the Chameleon Championship, if you watch to the very end and you watch me give him the trophy, that moment is embedded in me, and I can feel that moment and that hug all the time. So that moment defines us as a father-son. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can relate, that have that bond. And to those who don't have that bond with a parent, I'm sorry that they're missing out, because it's special.
Yeah, without question, man. Without question. We're kind of getting to the end of the deal here. I really appreciate you, opening up with me here today and be willing to spend a little bit of time here on the BowlerX channel. Of course, Lee and Krista Sant. Lee really wished he could have been here tonight to talk to you. He really wanted to. He wanted me to let you know that.
Yeah,
is there?
Have me back with him at some point. Just let me know when he's back and get me back on, because I love Lee and I love talking to him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Is there anything else that you wanted to say here tonight that I didn't ask you, that you wanted to say to the fans and just the folks out there that you wanted to get out there?
I think we covered just about everything that's been on my mind. The main thing to get across is this isn't the end. I'm not quitting. I'm not done. I will still be competing as much as I can. And like I said, who's to say that this doesn't change in the future and I get back out there? I don't know. Just know that I've tried everything. I've done everything that I could to continue to support the family and be out there full time. But I will continue to try to bowl when I can. I'll interact on social media with the fans when I can. I don't have a whole lot more, I don't think. It's a really hard transition. It's harder than I thought it would be. I thought this would be easy. I thought it would be easy to let go. When you think of all of the hard times and the failures and all the losing money and being away from the family, you think it's going to be easy to walk away from that. That's not a big deal. Like, what am I missing? And then you start remembering all the great moments that it gave you and the people you've met and the feeling of victory. And yeah, you asked me before we came on if it started to hit me yet. And I think you're witnessing it right now.
Yeah. But you're not done.
No, I'm not done.
Two more titles, man.
I'd rather, how about one more major? Can I just go win the Masters or something?
2015 U.S. Open champion, man. One of the most impressive things I've ever witnessed firsthand. I was there the whole week and I watched that, and that was incredible, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Was incredible. You were not only the best that week, you were on another level that week, and you were the greatest bowler in the world for 1 week for sure. Nobody could touch you, and the fact that the closest lefty to you was in 60th was just incredible. So that was one I'll always remember, and I'll always remember spending the time with you here on this interview. Yeah. And hopefully down the road, yeah, there it is right there. Hopefully down the road, you and I, I'll be in an event working it or whatever, and you'll make a TV show, and I'll be able to walk up, give you a little fist bump or whatever it is at that point in time, elbows, or hopefully there's a vaccine by then and we can actually hug it out or something, bro. So thanks for spending a little bit of time here with me tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed this one, and I'll see you down the road. If you ever need anything, you just let me know. Okay.
Yeah. I hope the fans enjoyed seeing me come to the realization that this is really happening, because that was real. I didn't anticipate that. I didn't anticipate feeling that kind of emotion. So I hope the people watching and people that may even watch back at some point see that this is not easy, that we are human, that it all matters a lot to us. So I hope they can respect that.
Absolutely. I'm sure they will, man. It's been a good interview. I appreciate the time tonight, Ryan. Have a good rest of the evening. And take care of that family.
Hey, take care, brother.
See ya. All right, so there you have it. That's Ryan Ciminelli. Really enjoyed this one. And I want to thank Lee for giving me the opportunity and the platform to be able to sit down and do that. I am here in Vegas working on some other projects, but I was really happy to sit down and spend some time with Ryan Ciminelli here tonight. J.R. Raymond, who puts out all that great content on YouTube. You can also check it out on the Facebook page. He'll be back next week with the live show. I enjoy doing interviews, and I've always enjoyed watching Ryan Ciminelli compete on the lanes. And I really have enjoyed over the years watching him battle the left side of the lane and just battle the demons in your head. I mean, I couldn't even imagine And a lot of us take it for granted, when you have a job or you have a monthly retainer or you have a weekly paycheck or biweekly or whatever it is, we look forward to those months where you get paid 3 times in a month, right? We all have that because there's 52 weeks in a year and there's 12 months. I mean, those are just the normalcies of life. And these pro bowlers, there's no guaranteed income. And from what I understand, I didn't ask this question to Ryan, but I don't believe he was on any sort of monthly retainer with any of the bowling ball manufacturers either. And some of that has changed since the pandemic has hit. There's no guaranteed incomes, or it's been cut down a little bit because there's no bowling, and everybody's feeling the squeeze here in life. And I'm sure many people that are watching here today are feeling it as well. I do want to just take a minute here again to thank BowlerX for this opportunity. And as bowling does start to resume here in the country and we get back into the swing of things, even going into the fall, don't forget BowlerX always has great promotions going on. Check back at the website, check the social media. Again, just a reminder, we had some new bowling balls announced and are going to be coming out here in the bowling industry. 900 Global, the Volatility Torque, the Storm Parallax, the Trend, the IQ Tour Nano Pearl, Roto Grip, the MVP Attitude. Bunch of new shoes coming in. Of course, all the great products that are available throughout all the different manufacturers, the Brunswick family of brands, Motive, the Utah brands as well. You can check them out on BowlerX.com. So that's going to do it for today's show. Really appreciate everybody interacting with us today. And if you're watching this after the fact, hopefully you got something from it. And make sure you go follow Ryan Ciminelli